Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving straight into the heart of one of the most dramatic shakeups in recent Illinois politics. It's the official swearing-in ceremony in Dolton, where the village hit the reset button after years of chaos. Brand new mayor Jason House, along with a fresh slate of trustees, raised their right hands, took their oaths of office, and stepped into leadership roles that could redefine Dolton's future. The energy in the room was electric. The crowd wasn't just watching ceremony, they were watching a rebirth. And if you've missed the non-stop saga that's been unfolding in Dolton or the roller coaster inside Thornton Township, don't worry. I've got you covered with the recap, the breakdown, the raw context you need to understand just how massive this turning point really is. Because here's the headline. Tiffany Henyard, once the self-declared super mayor and undisputed power broker in this area, has been stripped of not one but two major leadership roles. First, Dolton voters kicked her out of office after a single term as mayor. Then, in a shocking twist, her last bastion of power, her seat as Thornton Township supervisor, was yanked out from under her through a rewritten caucus. In the span of weeks, Henyard's carefully constructed empire collapsed like a house of cards. And the political earthquake it triggered is still shaking the ground across the Southland. That's what we're unpacking today. How we got here, how things spiraled so far out of control, and what this new chapter of leadership could mean for Dolton's future. And trust me, this isn't just a story about politics. It's a story about power, pride, community, frustration, and finally, accountability. Tiffany's fall. From power broker to political outcast, let's start with Tiffany Henyard. For years, she wasn't just the mayor of Dolton, she was a one-woman political machine. She controlled Village Hall with an iron grip, ran Thornton Township like her personal fiefdom, branded herself as the super mayor who could juggle both jobs while ruling her corner of Cook County. But that grip came at a cost. Scandals piled up, accusations of financial mismanagement, lavish spending on herself while businesses shuttered, bitter feuds with trustees, and viral board meeting blow-ups that embarrassed Dolton residents. Her supporters, she was a trailblazer, the first African-American woman to serve as mayor of Dolton. To her critics, she was a bully drunk on power, using intimidation and theatrics instead of collaboration. By 2025, the backlash boiled over. Residents were exhausted. Voters sent a clear message. Enough. Henyard lost her mayoral seat after one term, and before she could lick her wounds, Thornton Township Democrats rewrote the caucus playbook, stripping her of the supervisor's role she had fought so hard to cling to. Her reaction? Pure Tiffany. Judge recently tossed out her lawsuit claiming the caucus was illegal, and in response she snapped, "I will be suing everybody tomorrow. This is illegal. This is illegal in your face." That's not commentary, that's a direct quote. Defiant, angry, and doubling down, even as her empire collapsed. For longtime watchers, it was vintage Henyard. Never admitting defeat, always ready with a counterattack. But for Dolton and Thornton Township, the tide had already turned. The ceremony, a reset button for Dolton, which brings us to the swearing-in ceremony. This wasn't just another political formality, it was a reset button for the entire village. After years of dysfunction, the oath of office carried real weight. People weren't just clapping for new leaders. They were breathing a sigh of relief. Jason House, a familiar face in Dolton politics, took the mayor's oath with quiet resolve. Alongside him, a new team of trustees stepped forward, hands raised, pledging to serve the community with integrity. And you could feel the difference in the room. Gone were the theatrics. Gone was the atmosphere of intimidation. In its place was something Dolton hadn't seen in years: hope. I pulled together the most powerful, jaw-dropping moments from that night, and trust me, the speeches from the trustees weren't sugar-coated. They didn't just thank their families and wave politely. They opened up about what it was really like to work under Henyard's shadow. And the truth was raw, emotional, and brutally honest. Tiffany's last stand. Before we get into the new leadership, we need to talk about Tiffany's exit, because of course she didn't slip away quietly. In her final moments as mayor, Henyard reminded everyone that she was the first African-American female mayor of Dolton, and she did it with defiance. Y'all know I'm the first. the youngest female mayor. "Female, stop following blindly. Educate yourself," she said, framing herself as a victim of abuse while blasting critics for spreading confusion, instead of a conciliatory farewell. She doubled down, trying to rally the room with a forced call for unity. She told the crowd, "Neighbor, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it." But in the same breath, she accused others of overstepping and causing their own failures. And then came her parting shot. When asked if she'd sing the same mocking song her critics used when she lost, Henyard responded, "No, I'm not returning ignorance with ignorance." The irony was thick. Everyone in the room remembered one of her most infamous low points, the night she mocked trustee Edward Steve after he lost his seat. Steve, battling multiple sclerosis, had just given a heartfelt farewell. Instead of letting him leave with dignity, Henyard grabbed the mic and belted out, "Nah, nah, nah, hey, hey, kiss him goodbye, goodbye." That petty, cruel stunt still lingers in Dolton's political memory, and it made her final words drip with hypocrisy. The trustees speak. Raw honesty, then came the voices of Dolton's new future. Trustee Brittany Norwood delivered a speech that cut straight to the heart. She talked about campaigning in freezing weather, neighbors bringing her coffee and hand warmers, and how every single vote felt like a moment of warmth. She admitted she doubted herself at times, leaning on prayer and her mother for strength before meetings. At one point, she revealed that she once believed in Henyard's early promises, but that belief gave way to disappointment. Now, Norwood said, she was determined to build something real, a government rooted in service, not ego. Trustee Kiana Elsher followed with equal force. Her words were charged with gratitude, but also with anger. She thanked God and her family for keeping her steady through the storms that left her emotionally drained and physically scarred. She recalled Dolton's proud history, including the landslide election that once put Henyard in power and then turned sharp. "How dare you backstab me?" she shouted, her voice raw with betrayal. The room was left buzzing. Was Elsher defending Henyard or declaring independence from her? The emotion was so intense it blurred the line, but either way, her speech underlined the stakes. This wasn't just politics. This was personal. This was a fight to rebuild trust. Jason House. A different kind of leadership. When Jason House finally stepped up to the podium, the contrast couldn't have been clearer. There were no theatrics, no chest pounding, no grandstanding. House didn't make the moment about himself. His words were simple: a focus on service, accountability, and listening. That quiet resolve spoke louder than any performance could. Dolton residents were tired of the spectacle. They wanted integrity. They wanted substance. House's calm, measured presence was exactly the reset they were craving. Clerk Allison Kirk brought it full circle with her own speech. She recalled meeting House almost 20 years earlier when he knocked on her door, campaigning against political powerhouse William Shaw. His clarity and honesty impressed her so much that she cut him a check on the spot. 2 decades later, that same man now stood before the community as mayor. Kirk's voice shook with emotion as she described how the past years had drained her, but also how faith and purpose carried them through. The oath itself was symbolic. In a split-screen moment, you could picture House's 2021 swearing in as a trustee side by side with his 2025 inauguration as mayor. Same man, same room, but this time, the stakes were far bigger. Holding the Bible was a young family member, a reminder that leadership isn't just about power, it's about legacy, continuity, and the community's future. Turning point. Jason House's rise isn't just a personal victory, it's a signal of transformation. After years of scandals, viral fights, and corruption, Dolton's residents have chosen something different. Leaders who listen. Leaders who serve. Leaders who deliver. This doesn't mean the story is over, far from it. The challenge is Dolton. Faces are real, rebuilding trust, restoring fiscal responsibility, and mending the divisions left behind by years of chaos. But the direction has changed, and that in itself is historic. As House and the new trustees settle into their roles, Dolton is standing at a crossroads. Will this truly be the rebirth residents have been waiting for? Or will old habits creep? Back into Village Hall? What's next? So now the real question. What's next? The work begins here. The speeches were powerful, the ceremony was moving, but now it's about action. Can Jason House and his team deliver on the promise of transparency, accountability, and service? Can they turn the page on Dolton's reputation as a political circus and build something lasting? Time will tell, but for the first time in years, the people of Dolton have reason to believe change is possible. And that's why this moment matters. So tell us in the comments, what do you want to see from Jason House's leadership? Do you believe this is the turning point Dolton has been waiting for? Or are you skeptical after everything that's gone down? And if you believe this is a story worth following, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in. Because this story isn't over, it's just beginning.